Welcome to Senpai, your new home for immersive manga, manhwa, anime-inspired novels, and fantasy audiobook stories. Here, every episode brings you into a world of overpowered heroes, revenge arcs, cultivation journeys, virtual reality games, monsters, magic, and emotional character moments. Whether you enjoy dark fantasy, action, reincarnation, system stories, or epic adventure novels, Senpai is here to turn every chapter into a cinematic listening experience. So relax, put on your headphones, and let the story begin. Subscribe to Senpai and join the journey.
Dark Cave. For 3 consecutive days of head-on clashes, the battle between the players and the Earth Cave clan intensified. A multitude of iron shell bugs, controlled by Earth Cave clan warriors, surged from the underground, relentless and infuriating the players to no end. The only consolation for the players was that the game lacked a monster respawn mechanism. Once dead, monsters would not resurrect. Victory would eventually be theirs. During this time, Chi-Sheng, who stayed behind the scenes, also grew curious about the Dark Cave, wanting to know the trait of this domain node. He decided to explore it before the players. As the players and the Iron Shell bug tide once again erupted in battle, his strand of consciousness followed the sensory tendrils of guidance deeper underground, reaching the 5th level beneath the surface. Here, he saw a massive palace surrounded by stone steels. In front of the palace stood thousands of soldier statues, mostly shattered, clad in black broken armor, wielding broken weapons, in various poses of standing or charging, lifelike in their display. At the western entrance of the palace, a large number of iron shell bugs could be seen dragging ores into the palace under the command of Earth Cave clan warriors. Chi-Sheng's consciousness also followed the guidance into the main hall, where he saw a 5-meter-tall, battered statue standing at the center of the hall. The statue was enveloped in heavy shattered armor, holding a blood-red, broken warblade, kneeling on one knee as it gazed up at the dome. Behind it was a huge furnace, into which iron shell bugs continuously tossed ores for smelting under the control of Earth Cave clan warriors. Iceblade. The sudden exclamation from guidance startled Chi-Sheng. Do you recognize this statue? A belligerent madman. He was a warlord who ruled over his own territory after the fall of Emperor Zhao. What does he compare to you? Of course, he pales in comparison to us 4 servants, but this guy's strength should not be underestimated. I once tried to recruit him, but he believed he was also worthy of becoming the new Emperor Zhao and refused to serve me. Is he dead then? The life fire has extinguished. He's thoroughly dead. There seems to be a cluster of information energy left in his body. Try to analyze it. Guidance did not reply. It brought his strand of consciousness closer to the Ice Blade statue, and the analysis ability activated at this moment. Instantly, an overwhelming surge of murderous intent roared like a tsunami. We, the warriors of Emperor's Omen, shall not retreat. Accompanied by a hoarse and resolute voice, numerous memory scenes flickered rapidly through Chi-Sheng's mind like slides. He saw the predicament Iceblade faced as the world was on the brink of collapse. It was just when the 4 servants had entered Imperial Tomb Village, a point in time before Chi-Sheng had traveled here. At that time, Monster World was progressively decaying under the sweep of the horror black tide, the ecological environment worsening, with the area governed by Iceblade equally eroded by the horror black tide. Facing this desperate situation, Iceblade started planning for the future. He sunk his palace underground, then instructed his non-warrior clansmen to move underground, urging them to mine and store spiritual or for the future. A grand underground construction project thus commenced. The clan members did not understand why the clan leader did this, nor did they comprehend what he meant by waiting for the future, but all chose to follow his plan. Before the underground construction was completed, the horror black tide swept in. Iceblade chose to lead his warriors to confront the evil tide and defend the pristine land beneath their feet. Memory fragments jump. In the scene, the evil spirits swarm like locusts, densely packed and obscuring the view, as Iceblade, clad in heavy armor, leads the Black Armor Army, drawing their swords and pointing at the evil spirits to charge. The battle was extremely brutal. After repelling the evil tide, only half of the warriors survived. The second wave of the evil tide could arrive at any moment, but Iceblade chose not to leave, instead staying with his warriors at the entrance to the underground palace, preparing for the next battle. The new round of the evil tide erupted 3 days later. Subsequently, the 3rd and 4th rounds of the evil tide came. Endless evil spirits fought Iceblade until his weapon shattered, and the warriors following him were all killed, but he still did not leave. On the day the underground palace was completed, the clan members who participated in the construction emerged from the underground caves, hoping Iceblade would enter the palace to avoid the next evil tide. Facing the clan members kneeling and pleading, Iceblade, with his emotionless ice-blue eyes, scanned them coldly, saying, "The pristine land beneath my feet is the blessing of Emperor Zhao. I swear to defend it with my blade, even unto withering life, preferring death over retreat." Driving the clan members underground, Iceblade faced the final battle. Endless evil spirits surrounded him, his life fire flickering like a candle in the wind, ready to extinguish at any moment. Exhausted, Ice Blade knelt on one knee, gazing at the sky where only a sliver of the Emperor's light remained, his eyes still burning with indomitable combat spirit. In the final moments of his life, the image that flashed through Ice Blade's mind was that of Emperor Zhao bestowing a crown upon him, granting him the territory. Filled with intense pride and honor, he struggled to lift his broken warblade, pointing at the evil tide, his hoarse voice echoing through the sky. Wounded souls of iron blood, heroic spirits of the battlefield, even a broken body can slay 3 million enemies. There are no cowards under Emperor Zhao. Awaken, my comrades, and fight once more with me. As the words fell, Ice Blade's life fire extinguished, but his lifeless body moved, and countless dead warriors' bodies also rose at the call of Ice Blade's remaining will, continuing to confront the evil tide. The memory fragment ends abruptly here. This guy, even in death, he imprints a fighting will on his body, truly a thorough madman. The memory fragment seen left Qi Sheng shocked. During the process of guidance analysis of the memory, he even felt the indomitable will in Ice Blade's heart when facing desperate circumstances. A casual remark from Emperor Zhao. It was the most proud and glorious moment of Ice Blade's life in his eyes, and he chose to fight to the death to defend this honor. It seems his lifeless body was sent into the palace by the clan members. Guidance. What does Ice Blade mean by waiting for the future in his words? Not clear. It seems to have some sort of arrangement for the future. Perhaps he wants to resurrect through some means? As Guidance and Qi Sheng were curious about Ice Blade's arrangement for the future, the lifeless body of Ice Blade, standing at the center of the great hall, trembled slightly, seeming to sense their presence. Raising his head towards their collective consciousness, his dim eyes suddenly glowing with a crimson light, then a stream of information entered the minds of Qi Sheng and Guidance. Guidance? Jiuyin? Yanming? Superdimension? No matter which among you 4 old fellows inherits the will of Emperor Zhao, carry on with the honor I've left. I'm incapable of fighting anymore. I can only assist with this. As the words ended, the ground behind Ice Blade cracked open, revealing a golden crystal stone placed on an array. And the energy from being refined in the furnace was indeed being transported here, absorbed by the array, and merged into the golden crystal stone. Even without contacting, Qi Sheng could clearly sense the surging pure energy within the crystal stone. This kid, Ice Blade? In this moment, even Guidance, who had always introduced Ice Blade with a teasing attitude, was shocked. Qi Sheng finally understood what Ice Blade meant by waiting for the future. Ice Blade believed that one of the 4 great servants would inherit the will of Emperor Zhao and become the new Emperor Zhao, preparing a cross-century gift for them in advance. Consciousness bypassed the golden crystal stones, following the Guidance, sweeping every corner of the 5th layer of the dark cave. Here, besides the Ice Blade husks and the Black Armor army who followed them to their deaths in battle, Qi Sheng also discovered a deep burial site in the corner of the Great Hall, which contained a large number of skeletons. The owners of these skeletons should be clansmen of the Ice Blade race, who ended up being buried underground for a long time due to the scarcity of resources like food after taking refuge beneath the surface. What about the Earth Cave clan? What's their story? They should be underground creatures controlled by the Ice Blade people through some means. They can survive by devouring ores, without worrying about the shortage of food. After the death of the Ice Blade people, they still followed the commands implanted in their brains when controlled, directing the iron shell bugs to dig up spirit ores and toss them into the smelting furnace, continuing to charge the golden crystal stones. The guidance analysis seemed very reasonable to Qi Sheng. Consciousness swept towards the back of the Great Hall, where a fist-sized light blue crystal floated, its surface covered in black fungal filaments. Next to it was a throbbing meatball, resembling a heart. Is this a domain node? Correct. You can think of it as a core puzzle piece of Monster World. It is indeed comprised of countless core puzzle pieces that form the main framework of Monster World. As the guidance explained, the analyzed information was fed back into Qi Sheng's mind. Domain node, Dark Cave. Territory type, Resource. Territory characteristics, Spiritual multiplication. Characteristics introduction, continuously activates spirit or resources. Domain state, Black Tide energy corrosion, unoccupied. After reading the analyzed information, Qi Sheng turned his gaze toward the throbbing black meatball next to the crystal. This was the corrosion core. To seize this territory node, it was necessary to purify the node crystal and completely extricate the corrosive roots. But doing so is easier said than done. The prior guidance analysis had checked the black armored soldiers standing inside and outside the palace and found that these deceased warriors' remains had also been corroded, turning into evil life forms similar to cursed soldiers. And here, the cursed soldiers' hunting level was generally over 25+. Fortunately, the Ice Blade husks were not controlled by the Black Tide corrosive power. More precisely, the Ice Blade husks had fought until utterly exhausted, leaving behind nothing but an empty shell, which the Black Tide corrosive power couldn't animate. Even if thrown into an altar for refining, no sacrificial power could be extracted. If it were the Ice Blade in its prime, its hunting level might be over 500, possessing the strength to move mountains and seas, and players would be utterly incapable of contending. After investigating the 5th underground level of the Dark Cave, Qi Sheng's consciousness followed the guidance back to Imperial Tomb Village. As for the energy crystals left by the Ice Blade for the new Emperor's Omen, he had no intention to retrieve them. Not that he wouldn't like to, but he didn't have the startup capital. Players have 2 exploration modes to leave the Imperial Tomb Village. Free-to-play plus in-game purchases, such as Star Vein, Body Refining, etc. Whereas when he leaves, he must activate a mode that burns points cards. Back when the 4 servants injected the remaining sacrificial power into Imperial Tomb Village, the available sacrificial power reached over 80 million, which supported him to conceal his presence and explore the outside world with the Emperor's body without fearing detection by evil spirits. It was during that period that he took in the eagle-headed demon, black armored snake, and stone statue ghost. But now he only had 5-digit sacrificial power in hand, and the sacrificial power needed to mask the aura of the Emperor's signal origin was calculated per second, with more than 1,000 sacrificial power spent every second, which the stockpile couldn't withstand. The task of occupying the domain node could only be handed over to the players. Despite no substantial gains from this investigation, Qi Sheng was now filled with anticipation. The energy storage crystal stones left by the Ice Blade could refine over 10 million points of sacrificial power, enough to recruit 10,000 players, which could greatly quicken the early stages of development speed. Sitting cross-legged on the altar, Qi Sheng closed his eyes at this moment and switched to Emperor's Omen form, his vision switching to the player's perspective. Dark Cave. After another round of fierce combat, players began to clear the battlefield. They picked up the loot from the ground, then summoned the sacrifice mode from the function panel, tossing all the shells into the altar to refine them into sacrificial power. After these days of battle, players had become familiar with the combat rhythm of the Iron Shell bugs. The Iron Shell bugs' attack methods are divided into 2 types: spitting silk to entangle the target, then dragging it in front to tear apart with its scythe-shaped upper jaw. The interval between silk spitting is the best time to launch an offensive. With many battles, players familiar with the rhythm can now deftly dodge the spitting silk. The only headache for the players is the narrow terrain inside the cave. When faced with a tide of Iron Shell bugs, skill only has limited impact on combat strength, with the only certain path to victory being a fierce charge. The end of each battle is the happiest time for loot collection for the players. The boost to physical fitness from leveling up, the gain of sacrificial power from sacrificing loot, the joy of victory after uniting and cooperating, all of these are parts of the happiness. After clearing the battlefield, the remaining players continue to explore deeper along the cave tunnels, entering the second layer space underground. The second layer space is relatively more spacious, with a large number of excavated and hollowed-out rock walls. What's amazing is the faint green crystals covering the rock walls. When the gaze is focused, analysis information emerges. Gathering spirit collects heaven and earth energy, continuously nurturing the spirit or within. Realizing that the spirit ore in the cave is a renewable resource, the players didn't have too much emotional fluctuation and continued following the team deeper into the cave. After killing a few more Iron Shell bugs along the way, they came to a stone cave that was clearly excavated and stopped in their tracks. They could clearly hear the muffled roar coming from inside the cave. Li Zheng from the Liver Emperor group took the lead, throwing his torch into the cave. The torch drew an arc in the air before landing inside the cave, rolling a few times and illuminating the interior. Only to see on the rock wall at the end of the cave, 8 chains nailed in place, at their ends imprisoning a huge monster. Its shape resembles that of a shell-covered bug, with layers upon layers of white scales covering its body surface, where the elaborate and complex patterns intertwined look like a ghost face at first glance. A pair of huge pincers incessantly moving, and the exposed red eyes in the dim environment seemed like 2 burning lanterns. This monster, not knowing how many years it had been imprisoned, was still alive. Taunt, 2nd generation primordial. Hunting level, 29. Guidance analysis. A special monster that controls the Taunt primordial power, possessing the ability to weave spiritual illusions, causing targets within its range to fall into an extreme state of frenzy, uncontrollably attacking at the source of the taunt. Tip. Upon being hit by the taunting ability, the target will, based on its own memory as a blueprint, experience a short-term flood of edited memory scenarios, with the caster, Taunt, becoming part of the reimagined memories, becoming the hated target. The players were most excited upon seeing the analysis information of the monster, especially those who chose the Stone Statue Ghost. Pebbles. Haha, the perfect choice for the Stone Statue Ghost's second life soul. Taunt to attract hatred, then activate petrification ability to resist damage. Simply more perfect than the eagle-headed demon plus bonefire faction. I can already foresee the rise of the Stone Statue Ghost. Beaver. The spring of the Stone Statue Ghost players arrived so suddenly. Taunt plus petrification, the strongest defense faction of this edition, is born. Preschool class leader. The petrification skill can greatly increase damage resistance in a short time, but it also has a fatal flaw, which is the inability to move after activation. Now with the addition of a taunting skill, it's simply invincible. If there's also an ability to reflect damage taken, this faction sounds thrilling just to think about. The region's voice channel was abuzz with heated discussions about the abilities and traits of Taunt. Whether it's the eagle-headed demon or the black-armored snake, there are already suitable options for second life souls at this stage, with only the stone statue, Ghost, lacking one. The second-generation primordial monster imprisoned in the cave gave these stone statue Ghost players the hope of rising. Kill! Someone shouted, and immediately the players swarmed and charged towards the Taunt. Upon encountering the primordial monster, players decisively charged forth. But upon entering the cave, all the players' expressions changed. In their minds, countless fragmented images suddenly emerged, rapidly creating a spiritual illusion woven from memories. In the illusion, taunting monsters turned into loathsome figures, igniting an uncontrollable rage in their hearts. Seeing this scene, Qi Sheng, hidden in the shadows, couldn't help but laugh silently. He immediately severed his subtle perception of the players and switched to observing from the perspective of a guiding avatar to prevent himself from being drawn into the current spiritual illusion plaguing the players. According to the guidance's analytics, Taunt's primordial ability encompasses the weaving of spiritual illusions, an attack the player's current spiritual strength simply cannot resist. The most terrifying aspect of this ability isn't the illusion itself, but the emotional manipulation. He could imagine what the players were going through in the spiritual illusion, where Taunt would become the very thing they despised the most, perhaps the murderer of their father, or even the man next door, but none of that mattered right now. The players' eyes were already bloodshot as they hurled themselves at Taunt. At that moment, Taunt opened its mouth, revealing sharp fangs, and devoured the approaching players one by one. This ability reminded Qi Sheng of the anglerfish in the real world, which lures other fish with a glowing lure on its head. By comparison, Taunt's ability is even more fearsome. Once within the range of Taunt's ability, players will uncontrollably approach it and become the target of its entrapment. Resisting a spiritual illusion requires either a spiritual strength far greater than Taunt possesses, or the blessing of a primordial ability to resist mental control. The players entering the cave were wiped out within a minute by Taunt. And Taunt, having not fed for eons, merely consumed loneliness, as all dead players would have their life essence extracted by the superdimension, then sent back to Imperial Tomb Village by Yin Ming to complete life reshaping underground. It seems that the gift Ice Blade left you isn't just the energy barite. At this moment, Guiding Water Ball appeared beside Qi Sheng, manifesting an arm and analyzing with chin in hand. Do you think this primordial was imprisoned by Ice Blade as a gift prepared for the next Emperor Zhao? Exactly, it's not just Taunt, but I also sensed multiple primordial monsters inside the dark cave. Ice Blade's intentions are clear. After all, aside from Emperor Zhao, no one can absorb and integrate the abilities of primordial monsters. I can't think of any other reason for him to imprison primordial monsters. Though mad and warlike, his loyalty to Emperor Zhao is indeed respectable. How does it compare to yours? Qi Sheng turned to look at Guidance with a smile on his face. Compare to me? It's far inferior, of course. I am Emperor Zhao's most loyal subordinate. Are you doubting my loyalty, boss? Without answering Guidance, Qi Sheng's gaze returned once more to Monster World. 1 hour later, at the Imperial Tomb Village resurrection point, flashes of white light appeared in succession as players, having their resurrection cooldown end, logged back into the game. Damn, can you guys imagine what I went through in the illusion? I was literally cucked by that giant shell bug, and the messed up part is that I felt it was totally justified while in the illusion. Thinking back on it now, it's just damn ridiculous. This game is terrifying. It can actually extract memories to craft skills. My experience is even more bizarre. In the illusion, I was forced by the giant shell bug to eat shit with my head pressed down. It made my anger value soar infinitely. I wanted nothing more than to turn around and smash its head in. After resurrection, the players discussed their experiences in the spiritual illusion, exclaiming it was incredibly surreal. After some idle chatter, they began to consider how to take their revenge. What was certain was that the ability of Taunt would draw targets within a certain range of itself into a spiritual illusion based on memory. So close combat was not an option. Only players with a Bonefire Life Soul embedded could deal damage to Taunt. As players were discussing their battle strategy, a member of the child group suggested, "Who says we have to fight using monster abilities?" Although Black Armored Snake and Stone Statue Ghost forms can only engage in melee, the store is full of torches and long-range attack items. We could just stand outside the cave and throw long-range items inside to slowly whittle down Taunt's health and kill it. The bastard is bound by iron chains and can't resist our long-range offensive at all. This idea was immediately met with the approval of a large number of players. They then began purchasing long-range attacking items from store. Torches, stone-splitting bows, iron crossbows. The players couldn't afford high-quality items with their sacrificial power, so they could only buy those ordinary items made with sacrificial power. While the players were clearing out the goods, the Challenger system automatically took a 30% profit, bringing 339 points of sacrificial power earnings to Qi Sheng. Subsequently, dozens of players left Imperial Tomb Village, heading in the direction of the Dark Cave. By the time the player team reached the second level underground, they immediately launched a long-range offensive against Taunt trapped in the cave. Players possessing the Bonefire Life Soul threw fireballs, while the rest of the players took turns throwing various long-range items into the cave, bombarding Taunt with a relentless assault. During this time, the dull roar of Taunt continued to emanate from the cave. This further excited them, with the prospect of the sacrificial power gains after Taunt's death lifting their spirits. However, the smiles on the players' faces gradually vanished as time went on. Taunt was much more resilient than they had imagined, and a half-hour bombardment still hadn't killed it. Voices of doubt also appeared in the voice channel. Is something wrong? How come it's not dead after half an hour of attacking? Taunt's health bar is way too thick. Is there a possibility that our attacks aren't breaking its defense at all? The game doesn't have a mandatory -1 health deduction setting, so our attacks, just now, might have been ineffective. Fuck, no way. I've already drank 3 bottles of spirit potion. If this doesn't kill it, the loss is huge. The notion of being unable to break through the defense caused many players to lose their cool, especially for players in the Bonefire form, who were generally between levels 5 and 7 and could only maintain their offensive for a while before needing to stop and purchase spirit potion from the store to replenish their consumed energy before rejoining the fight. The low-level spirit potion was priced at 5 points of sacrificial power, and they had already sunk quite a bit of cost into the half-hour bombardment. If they were unable to kill Taunt, it would undoubtedly be a total loss. Half an hour later, the roar of Taunt continued. The cave was engulfed in flames, and the black smoke mixed with the heat wave made the players retreat again and again. The players' mentality also shifted from optimism to collapse. There were even players murmuring as they looked at the blazing flames in the cave. A torch costs 1 point of sacrificial power, a bottle of spirit potion 5 points, a stone-splitting bow 50 points, an arrow 1 point. We have now invested more than 1,000 points of sacrificial power, right? I put in all my earnings from mining yesterday. These words caused the mentality of the players nearby to explode. But none of the players stopped. With such high sunk costs, they acted like gamblers blinded by loss, unwilling to accept defeat, opting for a do-or-die attempt. 3 hours later, inside the cave, flames blazed fiercely. The taunting roars continued, but most players had exhausted their sacrificial power and couldn't maintain their output any longer. Just as the players were getting ready to give in to despair, the taunting roars inside the cave gradually lowered until they ceased altogether. Although they didn't dare to approach, a sense of anticipation built up in the players' hearts. After more than 10 minutes, a notification rang in the minds of all players who participated in the battle. Challenger tips. You have slain the 2nd-generation primordial monster Taunt. All who participated in the kill share a reward of 20,000 sacrificial power and are granted free access to open the next star vein inlay slot, limited to level 0 to 3 star veins. The sound was music to the players' ears. They eagerly opened the star vein enhancement panel in their feature options to view the newly acquired primordial life soul. Taunt, 2nd-generation primordial. Monster traits. Releases a mental shock wave centered on itself, causing targets that are hit to experience a short episode where numerous memories are altered, with the caster becoming a part of the rewritten narratives, effective only on intelligent lives above level 1. Guidance tip. After releasing this ability, you can't imagine what kind of role you'll play in the altered memory illusions of the target. You could be their father's murderer, or maybe even the next-door neighbor, but none of that matters. Pay attention now, as their eyes turn crimson and they pounce toward you quick. Defend yourself. Purchase cost. 3,000 sacrificial power. Compared to the 1st-generation Origin Life Soul, the purchase price for the 2nd-generation Primordial Life Soul has tripled, reaching 3,000 sacrificial power. There was an additional line of guidance tips in the description. Despite the steep price, the Taunt Life Soul was regarded by Stone Statue Ghost players as a must-have 2nd Life Soul. The combination of Petrification and Taunt could be predicted to be incredibly powerful in actual combat. Underground in Imperial Tomb Village. From the post-battle discussions among the players, Qisheng gathered 2 important pieces of information. While discussing the monster traits of Taunt, players complained that the game lacked a Star Vein Inlay experience feature, which would allow them to test ability combinations. Qisheng saw this as something completely achievable. He could use Yanming's power of space to create a simulation space where players could freely edit their own Star Veins and then use those edited abilities in simulated combat experiences. As the number of primordial monsters acquired increases over time, the simulated Star Vein feature could significantly enhance players' development and application of monster abilities. The second important piece of information was that players felt the game needed a forum-like feature for communication and strategy sharing and assistance. Qisheng thought it was very necessary to add this feature. Compared to local, team, or other chat modes, strategy discussions could not be saved. But a forum could archive content like player-submitted strategies, making it convenient for later players to consult, which would be a huge boon for future developments. However, before adding these 2 features, he needed to prepare in advance. With the idea in mind, Qisheng immediately instructed Guidance to create an in-game forum feature, and then contacted Yanming to explain in detail the requirements for creating a simulation space. After Yanming set off to busily work on the task, Qisheng, seated cross-legged atop the altar, began to ponder a question. How to retrieve the energy barite from the underground palace beneath the dark cave ahead of time. His physical body definitely couldn't go there, as every second his body spin outside entailed massive consumption. Just now, when talking with Yin Ming about the test space and the need to create a customizable simulated body for players, he suddenly had an inspiration. Back then, there was no choice, but now he had the Challenger system created from the combined rule power of the four servants, which could perfectly control the exploration of players' bodies outside. As for creating an avatar for himself, that wasn't feasible. After fusing with Emperor's signal origin, his consciousness could be extended outward but could not be bisected, separated, or even copied. With the idea in mind, Qi Sheng immediately took action. Closing his eyes, the Challenger system appeared in Qi Sheng's mind. He selected a player's corporeal body from those who were in death cooldown and expended sacrificial power to accelerate the reshaping process. The so-called blood and flesh reshaping mainly consists of three parts. First was the all things extraction function crafted by the servant from the superdimension, which refined all matter from the deceased player. Then the system built by Yin Ming retrieved it to the Imperial Tomb Village. Through the Imperial Tomb Village's territory characteristics, it was reshaped on a 1:1 basis, followed by the reimplantation of the data back into the system through guidance. And finally, the power of space teleported the reshaped corporeal body from the underground to the resurrection point on the surface of the Imperial Tomb Village. The entire process was like an assembly line, driven by just 10 points of sacrificial power, and there was no extra energy loss during the process. Even if a player's monster form reached level 100, the price for blood and flesh reshaping would not change. When he opened his eyes again, his consciousness had switched to the body of the selected player. However, this was not perfect control after the fusion of consciousness. It was more like a remote control puppet on strings. At this moment, the original body called out to Yin Ming in the underground space, providing the coordinates for the teleportation. Instantly, a space transmission array surfaced beneath the player's body. The surrounding space distorted, and after a brief sensation of weightlessness, he had arrived within the palace on the 5th level of the Dark Cave. In front of him stood the remains of an ice blade. Circling around the remains of the ice blade, Qi Sheng squatted down in front of the spirit-gathering array and laid his palm on the golden crystal stone. Immediately, a surge of energy was continuously transmitted to the sacrificial pool underneath the Imperial Tomb Village, using the player's body as the relay station. Originally almost empty, the sacrificial pool now seemed like floodgates had been opened, with surging golden energy pouring down, which then turned into scarlet energy midair, intermingling with other sacrificial energies after purification. There was certain energy loss during the conversion process. This was related to the special trait of sacrificial power. The energy barite left by the ice blade was very pure, but nowhere near the purity needed for sacrificial power to transform all things. It needed to be refined and purified before it could be turned into sacrificial power. The purification array left by Join was now operating at high speed. 1 minute later, the golden crystal stone was depleted, turning transparent. Qi Sheng also received feedback from guidance. Sacrificial pool. Stored sacrificial power. 133333842. The absorption of the energy barite brought him over 13 million points of sacrificial power profit. With this wealth accounted for, it meant that the process of recruiting players could be significantly accelerated. Standing up, Qi Sheng walked towards the back of the palace. Crossing the bone-burying land, where the ground was covered with a layer of moss that looked like flesh and blood, he could see a large flesh lump in front of him, extending black tendrils that coiled around the suspended domain node crystal. At this moment, as if sensing his presence, a black tendril, composed of black tide corrosion energy, shot towards him at high speed. With the player avatar's physical fitness, he was unable to react in time. Qi Sheng was immediately hit by the tendril in his chest, his body thrown back and ultimately pinned to the load-bearing column of the palace. The tendril then rapidly spread from the chest of the player's body to other parts. After a strong sensation of nausea and dizziness, the player's body was corrupted and dissolved, while Qi Sheng's consciousness was guided back to his original body by the Challenger system. The player body you were controlling has only the strength of level 8. It's clear that the task of occupying the domain node can't be completed with this avatar. Hearing this, Qi Sheng nodded. The black tide core occupying the domain node crystal obviously possessed its own consciousness, attacking nearby life forms. The task of purifying the node would have to be undertaken by other players working together. Having brought back 13 million sacrificial power from this trip, he was already quite content. With the 13 million sacrificial power provided by Iceblade, Qi Sheng promptly initiated the 3rd round of recruitment, planning to offer 10,000 player slots. His primary target was still those players who wanted to experience the Dark Land but were hindered by the game's price or difficulty in purchasing. Promoting recruitment under the guise of a new game proved challenging in attracting new players. No matter how fanciful the descriptions, players would just view it as false advertising. So he continued using the name Dark Land to quickly attract newcomers. That night, many gaming groups saw the game link promoted by Qi Sheng. Most of these groups would kick him out, mistaking him as an online scammer. Yet, many players chose to download and try the game, subsequently promoting it further and drawing even more players to join. The 10,000 available slots were downloaded in less than 2 hours. A large number of players gradually logged into the game around 9 p.m. The previously deserted resurrection point in Imperial Tomb Village was instantly overcrowded with players. Accompanied by flashing white lights, new players could only spawn in various areas of Imperial Tomb Village, no longer confined to the resurrection point. Damn, this game feels so real. The 128888 spent was worth it. Stayed up late and fought over it for 3 rounds. Finally got my hands on it, haha. Solo players looking for a team. Any big spenders willing to take in a little brother. Imperial Tomb Village was bustling like a market. Many players started showing off as soon as they entered the game. Eating soil, running, self-harm, pain feedback testing. They assessed the game's realism in various ways. The feedback they received was nothing short of incredible. While marveling at the game's realism, the players from this round of recruitment tactfully avoided mentioning the link for downloading. They feared exposing the pirated link might harm the benefit officer who provided them with the game and possibly even get their access revoked. Subconsciously, they assumed that other nearby players had genuinely bought their access, so in their interactions, many players bragged about being lucky enough to have won the purchase rights. Under Qishang's observation, the players from this recruitment round, after understanding the game's basic settings through guided instruction, soon ventured out of Imperial Tomb Village to explore further. The players became noticeably aggressive when they banded together. Reviving cursed soldiers became the preferred targets for leveling up, often being attacked before they could even stand. To compete for the rights to kill cursed soldiers, players clashed with each other, filling the regional chat channels with insults. In one corner of the ancient battlefield north, a player was tightly encircled by 3 black-armored snakes. Bro, I was wrong. Please let me live. Who told you to snatch the monster? Go die, and back to the newbie village. In the east of the ancient battlefield, a player initially in the form of an eagle-headed demon frantically flapped his wings as he ran, pursued by a group of players. Guys, that's the bastard. Don't let him get away. Likes to sneak attack and steal kills, right? If we can't kill cursed soldiers, we'll kill you. In the west of the ancient battlefield, 2 teams of players fought over the rights to kill a cursed soldier, resulting in a large-scale monster battle. In just 10 minutes, over 100 players were sent back to the newbie village by their fellow camp members, entering into the resurrection cooldown. The inclusion of new players also breathed some life into the ancient battlefield. The power of numbers was fully demonstrated at this moment. When the first batch of players like Li Zheng entered the game, they moved cautiously, fearing an encounter with multiple reviving cursed soldiers and getting trapped. However, the mindset of players from this round of recruitment was entirely different. Their only fear was not getting to fight the cursed soldiers, unconcerned about there being too many of them. Whenever a cursed soldier stood up, nearby players, like cats smelling fish, pounced from all directions. The numerical advantage allowed the new players to turn the initial exploration mode into a sweeping advance. This brought both tears and laughter to the observing Qishang. The player's performance also affirmed his preliminary concept, to build a fearless, potentially limitless super army to help him conquer the monster domains, secure the primordial power, and reclaim the lost domain. At that moment, guidance suddenly appeared beside him. Boss, Yanming has completed the test space construction. Then a screen popped up in front of Qishang, with Yanming looking expressionlessly at him. My task is complete. I've added many known primordial abilities to the test database. Although they might not be found at this stage, they could be useful in the future. Hard work. Qishang nodded and waved to call up the challenger system. Amid the interplay of light and shadow, numerous mysterious characters enveloped his body. Among these complex characters, a new sequence composed of blue characters was added. Yan Ming spoke from the screen at this moment. Little Qi, the content has been constructed, but a carrier is needed to assist players in entering the test space. Upon hearing this, Qishang paused briefly and then nodded. Then let's build a functional building in Imperial Tomb Village to connect players to the test space. Understood. After Yanming nodded, the screen disappeared. Half an hour later, a challenger tip resounded in the minds of all online players. Challenger tips. The game is about to undergo a 1.1 version update. The update details are as follows. 1. A new functional building, the Test Tower, is added to Imperial Tomb Village, where players can conduct simulations of star vein inlaying, body refining level, ability combinations, and item usage within the tower, with each test costing 1 point of sacrificial power. 2. A forum feature is added to the game's function panel, allowing players to post, interact, and share strategies. Additionally, features such as post rewards and game live streaming are available. Players can still access the forum through the virtual interface during their death cooldown. This update is an online update. No need for players to log off and wait. As the update notification played, the ground in Imperial Tomb Village trembled violently. In the western ruins, a tall tower emerged from the ground. The tower, built from black material and covered with a layer of blue-purple halo, had a sharp top that reached for the skies, with a massive crystal ball slowly rotating above. This building was the test tower constructed by Yanming. The tower possessed space rules capable of automatically creating layered spaces, ensuring different players entered separate layers during tests, uninfluenced by others. The emergence of the new building quickly sparked heated discussions in the regional channels, and the enthusiasm soon spread to the newly opened forum function. Especially for the veteran players exploring the Dark Cave, this update was highly anticipated. They were at the stages of choosing their second or third life soul for Starvein enhancement and needed the test tower to simulate test their future growth directions. Primordial Altar. Qisheng began to peruse player-posted content by summoning the function panel. Over the past 2 days, the number of players posting and exchanging ideas on the forum kept growing, where the hottest topic was the discussion of the functionalities related to the newly built test tower in Imperial Tomb Village. In the constructed test tower, 729 known primordial abilities from Yin Ming were included, allowing players to inlay various types of monster life souls in a simulation environment to create combinations and build their own favorite growth streams. After 2 days of testing, many powerful streams have been developed and shared by the players on the forum. At this moment, Qisheng was looking through the most popular strategy, sharing thread. After playing with the simulator for 2 days, I'm sharing a few Starvein schools combinations I've matched. Hosted by Endless Night. Content. The competition for killing monsters outside is crazy, and as a newbie, I'm shivering with fear. So, I spent 2 days in Newbie Village testing different streams, and I'm sharing 3 strong schools combinations. Since my body refining level is 0, the highest simulation option only allows me to pair up to 8 monster life souls. So each stream is built with a combination of 8 monster life souls. There are more expansion and enhancement possibilities for these 3 streams when levels are higher in the future. First up is a stream built around the core of the stone statue ghost, which I call Immortal Stance. Attachment, video file. Qisheng clicked on the video, and immediately a screen popped up in the forum interface. In the video, a player named Endless Night is performing a Starvein inlay. He sequentially embedded into the 8 Starvein slots: Stone Statue Ghost encapsulated, Taunt encapsulated, Recovery, Thorns, Icebone, Thirst for Blood, Fire Scythe, Black Armored Snake, already encapsulated. After completing the Starvein assembly, Endless Night turned to face the camera. First, I'll show you the specific effects of each primordial ability to facilitate subsequent simulation test performances. The camera then zoomed in on the Starvein enhancement interface. Petrification. Active after using the ability, you enter an immobile petrified state, which significantly weakens any form of attack damage, with a specific effect influenced by physical fitness. Taunt. Active releases a mental shock wave centered around oneself, and the hit targets will go through numerous altered memory scenarios based on their own memories. Release range is controllable for a short time, with the caster becoming part of the altered memory, only effective on level 1+ sentient beings. Recovery. Passive activates life potential, significantly enhancing self-healing efficiency, with a specific effect influenced by monster level. Thorns. Passive protected by the power of Thorns, part of the physical damage received is reflected back to the attacker, with a specific effect influenced by body strength. Icebone. Passive when taking damage, inflicts a freezing effect on the target, slowing down the attacker's movement efficiency. Thirst Bloodmark. Passive centered around oneself. The Thirst Bloodmark continuously absorbs the draining chi blood from nearby targets and converts it into healing energy to repair tissue damage, with the range of the mark influenced by body strength. Fire Scythe. Active burns nearby units continuously from the center of oneself, with a specific damage value influenced by body strength. Fierce Poison. Passive, any form of physical damage comes with a poisoning effect that causes continuous damage to the target, with a specific effect influenced by the Black Armored Snake's form level. The logic behind building this stream is to attract nearby targets to attack oneself by using the Taunt ability, and then significantly reducing damage received by activating the Petrification ability. Following that is Recovery, providing continuous health regeneration. Thorns reflecting received damage. Thirst Bloodmark absorbing health from injured units nearby for continuous healing. Icebone controlling the area with its ability, and both Fire Scythe and Fierce Poison causing continuous damage. It's important to note the Vicious Poison attribute of the Black Armored Snake, which causes all physical damage to carry a poison effect. In this Starvein school combination, the effect of Thorns is to reflect part of the physical damage received, so the combination of the Black Armored Snake and Thorns allows you to poison the attacking target while taking damage. Next, we'll see a demonstration of a simulated battle. As the words were spoken, Endless Night opened the simulation interface and summoned 100 Blood Wolves before switching to combat mode. Faced with the fierce assault of the Blood Wolves, Endless Night decisively activated Taunt, and a spiritual illusion was automatically constructed around him, turning the eyes of the Blood Wolves blood red. Then the Petrification ability was initiated, and Endless Night's body was enveloped in a layer of black matter, entering an immobile state. Under the ferocious attack of the Blood Wolves, red figures indicating health deduction and green figures for health regeneration simultaneously appeared above Endless Night's head. Each time the nearby Blood Wolves bit into Endless Night, they would get another wound on their bodies, with numbers popping up for poison, freeze, and burn elemental damage, as well as the white figure damage caused by the Thorn's reflection. The blood shed from the injured blood wolf is drawn by the thirst blood mark, transforming into thin streams of blood that float towards Endless Night, whereupon green healing characters pop up above his head. In the combat demonstration, Endless Knight's health bar remains between 98% and 100%, with the ferocious assault of the Blood Wolf group posing no threat to him. In less than 5 minutes, all the nearby Blood Wolves are dead, and Endless Knight's health bar has returned to 100%. At this moment, Endless Knight looks towards the camera, guiding Waterball, grins, and says, "This is why I call this Star-Vayne combination the Immortal Stance. Isn't it strong?" The video demonstration ends here, and a large number of players comment below the video. Minstrel, awesome. With this faction, just dive into any area with plenty of monsters and get moving, standing still to kill nearby targets. I choose Black Armored Snake. Shocked. What kind of divine faction is this? A boon for the lazy. Just stand in a place with lots of monsters. Enter the forum to read posts and watch videos while leveling up. Strongest newbie. Damn, I really want to follow this faction, but besides Black Armored Snake, Taunt, and Stone Statue Ghost, I haven't collected the other 5 monster life souls, and I have no idea where to find primordial monsters with these special abilities. Closing the video page, Chi-Shung continues to read the subsequent content. Apart from the most discussed Immortal Stance, Endless Night also provides 2 other factions in the post. He respectively calls them Shadow Army Flow and One Hit Kill Stream. Among them, the Shadow Army Flow is built around the core of Shadow Summon from the Life Soul Library. The ability effect of Shadow Summon is to call upon Shadow Warriors imprisoned in the Shadow Realm by Emperor Zhao to fight for oneself, with a specific number and strength of summons affected by one's own spiritual strength. With this at its core, Endless Night selected 7 group amplification monster life souls for Star-Vayne inlay. The combat mode is very simple. Start by summoning a group of Shadow Warriors, then sequentially apply Evil Blade, Weapon Amplification, Cloud Dragon, Movement Speed Amplification, Evil Armor, Defense Amplification, Frenzy, Physical Fitness Amplification. By amplifying status effects in this way, the combat power of Shadow Warriors is significantly enhanced, allowing their strength to be multiplied several times. This faction is also a boon for the lazy. After stacking amplification statuses, one can watch the Shadow Warriors perform without personal participation in the battle. A large number of players left comments below the video expressing their fondness for this faction. The last one-hit kill stream is a Star-Vayne school built around the core life soul, Worsening. The effect of Worsening is to significantly strengthen the effects and duration of various sustained damage. The hallmark of this faction is that as long as the target is hit, one can confidently run away, and the target will suffer from continuous worsening, poison, death erosion, and a series of sustained damage states, ultimately culminating in death as time accelerates. In the demonstration battle, Endless Night strikes a level 28 Fallen Side monster with a normal attack, then promptly beats a retreat. One can see negative damage info constantly emerging above the Fallen Side's head, with the wounds on its body rapidly festering and spreading over the entire body, leading to its demise shortly thereafter. This post was pushed to the top of the forum's hotness list in a very short time. It sparked strong interest among many players in the construction of Star-Vayne schools. A large number of players then followed suit, building various Star-Vayne school playstyles in the simulation environment. To the player's regret, the initial Star-Vayne inlay in the simulation environment is limited to embedding 8 life souls, which is insufficient for constructing more powerful factions. And the vast majority of life souls in the simulation library have not been collected, leaving players clueless about where to hunt for primordial monsters with these abilities. However, the emergence of various factions also makes players look forward to their future growth directions. The 729 primordial abilities introduced in the simulation library are just a part of the energy that Emperor Zhao has decomposed, with many more unknown primordial monsters waiting for players to find and collect. It is foreseeable that as the game updates continuously, more perfected Star-Vayne schools combinations will emerge. As Chi-Shung focused on the operation of the test tower, in the real world, at the Human Federation Star Network Security Center, beep, verification passed. The electronic prompt sounded, and the metal gates slid into the wall. Ding Xiao stepped into the office and sat down in front of the computer desk. Watching the incessantly growing numbers of network complaint reports on the right, he couldn't help but sigh. At that moment, the projector on the ceiling automatically activated, projecting beams of light that converged in front of the desk, forming a holographic projection of a robot. Intelligent little A, at your service. You currently have 328 unprocessed network complaint reports, of which 227 have been marked as AI-handled projects. Little A will handle and resolve these for you. The other 101 complaint reports have been checked and read, but I am unable to make precise judgments on these, so you'll need to analyze and resolve them yourself. Ignoring the intelligent assistant, Ding Xiao pressed the blue button on the desk, and immediately more beams of light shot down from the projector, constructing a virtual workstation around him. Countless blue and white dots of light slowly rotated around him. Let's get to work. Ding Xiao quickly immersed himself in his work, invigorated. He clicked on the white dots of light that surrounded him to read the complaint reports. After AI selection, All the complaint reports presented in front of him required his personal attention to decide whether to transfer the complaints to local law enforcement or to internal regulatory units of other races. After processing 4 consecutive reports, Ding Xiao clicked on another white dot. Suddenly, a virtual screen materialized in front of him with detailed complaint information. Complainant: gaming is art. Certified identity: Wang Shueshi identity code. Content of the complaint: there are scammers in the group spreading false phishing links, claiming that the link can download the latest virtual reality game released by the Moon Eclipse clan, Darkland. Attachment: group chat screenshot. Attachment: network ID information screenshot of the information publisher. Seeing this complaint report, Ding Xiao was surprised. This kind of information is obviously fake at first glance. He didn't need to click on the link to know it was surely false. Games released by the Moon Eclipse clan years ago never had cracked versions, let alone Darkland, which was only recently released and utilized even more advanced security technology. It was odd precisely for this reason. Such information should be entirely manageable by the AI assistant. Why did they need to pass it to him for manual verification? Little A, why didn't you handle this complaint report? In response to the question, the AI assistant Little A, who sat on the table, stood up and pointed to the complaint information in front of him, saying, "We need to conduct a detailed check of all complaint reports. After verifying the content of the complaint, we can then make a judgment. However, I'm unable to find any useful information from the evidence provided in this complaint report, and therefore I cannot process it further." After hearing Little A's explanation, Ding Xiao became even more puzzled. Why can't it be processed further? There are 3 reasons. First, I searched for the benefit officer mentioned in the complaint report and found that although I can locate this person's network information, their account has no authentication information, nor can I trace the IP address ownership information. That is to say, this account was registered without identity verification, and my database has no precedent for unauthenticated registration, which presents a logical error that I cannot understand. Secondly, I entered the reported link to search for other clues and found that this link also has issues. I am unexpectedly unable to breach the permissions behind the link. This is the final feedback I received. As Little A finished speaking, the information on the light screen in front of Ding Xiao changed. A prompt popped up on the projection screen. Download has reached the limit set number. The publisher has not enabled new download permissions. Unable to continue downloading. A humanized expression of confusion appeared on the face of Assistant Little A. My authorization is classified as an A level in the information processing of the Human Federation's network. Only the intelligent brains of each city and the Federation main brains set S-level information are beyond my reading rights. Everything else I have the authority to skip verification and access directly. Therefore, I can only determine the check of this link as a failure. Lastly, I checked the benefit officer's network trail and was unable to find any digital traces that could be read and traced, including in which groups he had posted the download links. I was unable to access specific information. In summary, according to the regulation number 238 of the AI Intelligent Brain, AIs must verify all information before they can handle an event autonomously. Since I cannot further verify these 3 clues, I judged the check as a failure and turned it over for manual processing. After listening to Little A, Ding Xiao suddenly realized that the complaint report that seemed obviously fake at first glance was not as simple as he thought. He immediately proceeded to recheck the publisher's authenticated identity, link information, and IP address, following Little A's processing method. The results were just as Little A had said. He couldn't find any useful information at all. Could it be the Moon Eclipse clan? Faced with such a bizarre issue, Ding Xiao's first thought was of the Moon Eclipse clan. The intelligent brain cores of the major cities of the Human Federation and the Federation main brain were established with the assistance of the Moon Eclipse clan from the very beginning, including the star network that is jointly accessed by the Human clan and the various forces that sought refuge. It was also completed with the technical support provided by the Moon Eclipse clan, so only the Moon Eclipse clan has the highest authority to freely enter the networks of other races. Back then, the Human Federation also had concerns about this issue, fearing that the connection to the star network was a vulnerability, with Human clan secrets being utterly exposed to the Moon Eclipse clan. But this concern was suppressed during the discussion in the Federation Supreme Council. The reason was quite simple. Someone asked a question during the meeting. I would like to ask all the major city managers present, as well as the federal congressmen, if the Moon Eclipse clan really wanted to harm humanity with their level of technology, what are our chances of successful resistance? This statement silenced the objectors at the meeting. In fact, if the Moon Eclipse clan wanted to invade Earth, the Human clan would be powerless to resist. Over the years of contact with the Moon Eclipse clan, they have never shown any hostility towards the Human clan and have even actively provided various technical supports. If able to connect to the star network created by the Moon Eclipse clan, the Human Federation would gain access to a vast amount of technology stored on the star network by the Moon Eclipse clan, which would greatly boost development. Ultimately, the vote was cast at the meeting. The Human Federation would connect to the star network, requesting assistance from the Moon Eclipse clan to establish city intelligent brains and a main brain specific to the Human Federation. Therefore, The Moon Eclipse Clan Supreme main brain has the highest network authority that is above those of all other races. Only the Moon Eclipse Clan's super main brain has the authority to set absolute secret data on the star network. And it can also bypass the intelligent brains of other races to complete registration information through unauthenticated registration applications. Thinking of this, Ding Xiu's expression became strange. The highest echelons of the Moon Eclipse Clan with the power to control super-intelligent brains are registering unauthenticated network identities, just to post a prank link on the network of the Human Federation. This speculation was indeed too far-fetched. But apart from the Moon Eclipse Clan's involvement, he could not think of any other possibility. To clarify the identity of the benefit officer, Ding Xiu submitted the report content to the head of the network security team. After detailing the reasons on the phone, he no longer paid attention and continued to handle other report information. 10 minutes later, the team leader, Yu Dong, appeared beside him as a three-dimensional projection. Ding Xiu, I have already reported your file content to the Federation mainbrain, and the conclusion is that it has never approved any unauthenticated identity registration, so the benefit officer is very likely a high-level member of the Moon Eclipse Clan. Is it really the Moon Eclipse Clan? Ding Xiu frowned slightly. Only the Moon Eclipse Clan has the ultimate star network authority that can bypass the Federation mainbrain. Based on a series of bizarre actions of the benefit officer, the Federation mainbrain analyzed and came up with 12 possible scenarios. The first possibility is that some internal issues arose within the Moon Eclipse Clan's upper echelons, leading to a member stealing the Darkland database and spreading a cracked version on our Human Federation's network. The second possibility is that this could just be some high-level prank by the Moon Eclipse Clan, with no actual crack game behind the link. The third possibility. At this point, Yu Dong paused for a moment before continuing. However, none of these 12 speculations can perfectly explain the series of puzzling actions of the benefit officer. The biggest problem now is that the Federation intelligent brain is unable to track the network path of the benefit officer, including which chat groups have spread the link, and it can't download the content via the link, so it's impossible to determine whether there is a game behind it. Ding Xiu, I'm now giving you a task to monitor this link information in real time, waiting for the possibility of the download authority being activated again. After listening to the team leader's briefing, Ding Xiu immediately nodded. Understood. I will keep an eye on any changes in the authority status of this download link that has been closed. The team leader's figure faded away at that moment, and Ding Xiu turned to look at Little A, who was sitting blankly on the desk. Little A, help me keep an eye on the link activity in real time and report any situations to me. At this time, Assistant Little A raised its head, showing a bewildered humanoid expression. I have no access to the link, unable to perform deep monitoring. You don't need to check whether the download authority behind the link has been activated. I want you to click on the download at a frequency of 100,000 times per second, continuously for 24 hours. Since we don't have the authority, we'll wait for the possible moment of authority activation by using high-frequency connection. Understood. Little A nodded at this time. At the same time, Little A started the high-frequency connection. Qi Sheng, who was in Imperial Tomb Village, received feedback from the guidance that an intelligent AI was making high-frequency access requests to the Challenger system. This made Qi Sheng realize that his way of recruiting players might have already drawn the attention of the Human Federation Star Network Security Agency and possibly the attention of the upper echelons of the Human Federation. Regarding this, Qi Sheng had no thoughts on how to respond. As the number of Monster World players continued to grow, there would eventually come a day when it would be completely exposed. He was not worried about exposure, but only wished to delay the time of exposure. And Earth's various forces could not prevent the increase in Monster World players, because the highest authority of the star network built by the Moon Eclipse Clan had long been easily infiltrated and taken over by the guidance. Is there any player in the blood color plane area who can come help? This level 14 Angry Clamp only has a sliver of health left. I'm the only one left in our team, and I can't hold on. Requesting support, attached, coordinates. Requesting monster to finish off the fight in the ancient battlefield area. I want to deal the last hit on the weak monster, and will provide cash compensation, price based on monster level. Preferably nearby. If you're too far, don't DM me, attached, coordinates. Drunken Group is recruiting strong players. Must be level 8+, preferably with real-life fighting or martial arts experience. Details through private chat. Can all the recruitment messages give me a break for a moment? I just want to ask, are the assholes who roam around in the ancient battlefield to steal the last hit sick in the head? Can't they just find a team and hunt monsters to level up, instead of going around and being annoying? No mother to... Haha, this just killed me. Just now, a team ambushed a level 13 cursed and got wiped out. I came by, saw I was low on health, and decisively finished it off, picked up some evolution points and sacrificial power for free, thanks to the efforts of that team hard. Atop the primordial altar, Qi Sheng sits cross-legged. He reviews the feedback from players exploring Monster World, gathering improvements for the next update. With the addition of new players, the daily output of sacrificial power has dramatically increased. According to the guidance statistics, each player contributes an average of 3 sacrificial power points per day, and the benefits continue to grow steadily with the players' levels. Recently, even the usually quiet regional voice channels have become unusually lively. Every second, Players are discussing game content or recruiting teammates for exploring Monster World. Apart from the increase in sacrificial power, the number of players also brings progress in the containment of origins. Just half an hour ago, a team of 17 players in the ancient battlefield discovered a first-generation origin monster named Dust Shadow. This monster looks like a cloud of black mist and can switch between solid and gaseous states. In its gaseous form, only elemental attacks can harm it. Its hunting level is 8. After encountering it, the 17-player team engaged it, and after a half-hour battle, they successfully killed it and contained it in the 10th cell of the primordial containment wall. The news of the successful containment drew a lot of attention from players when refreshed in the regional channel. This was also the first time the newly joined players saw the regional notification of a successful containment of an origin. After quickly reviewing various types of information output by players, Qixing opened his eyes. The flood of information in his mind abruptly stopped. After 2 days of observation, he has summarized the feedback from players in detail. There are 2 key issues that need improvement. First is the problem of channel communication. Initially, he divided the online chat modes for players into 3 channels: Team Chat Channel, Regional Chat Channel, and World Chat Channel. The Team Chat Channel refers to the private chat for the current team, which cannot be seen or joined by players outside the team. The Regional Channel refers to large areas like the Emperor 2 mountain range in Monster World, and not smaller subdivisions like the Blood-Colored Plain, Ancient Battlefield, or Artifact Spirit Valley within the region. The World Chat Channel refers to the largest chat channel where players stationed anywhere in Monster World can participate. The addition of 10,000 new players filled the originally quiet regional chat channels with various messages, causing players' request messages to be quickly pushed away and difficult to fulfill. For example, a player in the Blood-Colored Plain seeking nearby help gets overshadowed by numerous players in the ancient battlefield constantly flooding the chat to recruit new members, forcing players in the Blood-Colored Plain to also flood the chat to increase the exposure of their requests. Qixing believes that the next game update could include a more detailed division of chat channels. In addition to the Team Chat Channel, the Regional Chat Channel, and the World Chat Channel, an additional sub-regional chat channel will be added. This sub-regional channel will be displayed directly by the name of the location. For instance, if a player is in the Ancient Battlefield, the sub-regional channel name will display as Ancient Battlefield Chat Channel. If a player is in Imperial Tomb Village, it would display as Imperial Tomb Village Chat Channel, and so on. A more detailed division of chat channels could significantly improve the efficiency with which players address their needs. The second issue concerns leveling up through monster elimination. Initially, he set 2 modes for players to level up through monster hunting. The first mode is where the player who deals the final blow, essentially the actual kill, receives all the hunting rewards. The second mode is where players who participate in killing a primordial monster share the rewards. This setting now appears to be unfriendly to players. He has seen more than once players complaining in the chat channels about the game's finishing blow setting, creating a lot of stealing blade thieves. These so-called stealing blade thieves are a group of players who do not want to engage in monster fights themselves. They roam around and specifically target monsters weakened by other players to steal the finishing blows. Qixing views competition among players as a good thing. Disputes and conflicts can significantly enhance their desire for growth and to obtain stronger abilities. However, malignant competition only spoils players' gaming experience. To prevent such incidents from continuing to occur and to provide better feedback for players in monster hunting leveling, he decided to change the reward setting from getting all rewards for the last hit to sharing the hunting rewards among the player team that caused the most damage to the monster. And if it's an individual player, not in a team causing the most damage, that individual will receive all rewards. These 2 new settings he plans to modify and add in the next update. As Qixing was considering what else needed updating, suddenly a spatial vortex appeared in front of him, and a guiding water ball emerged from within, hovering in front of him. Boss, there's an issue with the moon phase during Evil Moon. Upon hearing this, Qixing immediately switched the view to the guiding avatar outside the Imperial Tomb Village. He shifted his gaze towards the sky, only to see the waning moon enveloped in a thick mist, becoming indistinct and unstable, with ripples appearing on its surface, suggesting some unknown changes were taking place. As time progressed, the dark red material constituting the waning moon slowly moved downwards. Suddenly, the evil moon burst into a dazzling bloodlight. At that moment, the black tide energy enveloping the Emperor Tomb mountain range fluctuated violently, causing the land to tremble. Players exploring outside looked up at the sky, unclear about what was happening. At that moment, players were shocked to notice the surroundings beginning to distort and change, like a stone thrown into a calm lake, creating ripples, turning everything around them blurry and twisted. Realizing that the moon phase in the Emperor Tomb mountain range region was transitioning to the waning moon, Qixing decisively issued a game notification to all players. Challenger tips. The Emperor Tomb mountain range is about to transition from the waning moon to the waxing moon phase. Players, please prepare. Waxing moon phase introduction. The second most intense phase among the 5 phases of the evil moon, with an unknown duration. Change. A large number of evil life that only exist during the waxing moon will descend upon the Emperor Tomb mountain range as the moon phase shifts, while the evil life from the waning moon vanish. Change 2. The landscape has undergone transformation. As the notification rang out in the players' minds, the scenery of various areas in the Emperor Tomb mountain range changed accordingly, towards the direction of the ancient battlefield. The scene previously filled with skeletons vanished with a spatial distortion, and what refreshed in place were many blood corpses with red bodies and black fur. Towards the direction of the blood-colored plain, the red plants that covered the plain dissipated with the wind, followed by numerous twisted vines, ancient dry trees, and a large number of evil life. Towards the direction of the artifact Spirit Valley, a raging river appeared in the center of the valley. Besides the original monsters and primordial monsters, numerous suspended, distorted cores with dense tentacles were also refreshed. But these evil life were immediately met with a siege from the artifact spirits. With the switch from the waning moon to the waxing moon, it seemed as if an entire unknown space was integrated into the Emperor Tomb mountain range, and with the change in the landscape came a surge of new evil life. After the earth-shattering changes concluded, the dim light shed by the waning moon turned into a dazzling blood red, and the energy particles drifting in the air increased by fivefold. Players who were exploring the various scenes suddenly found themselves surrounded by evil life. The bloodthirsty evil life will attack any target with life fluctuations within their sight, perception, range, including players, especially in the direction of the ancient battlefield, where the majority of players were hunting cursed soldiers. Before the change in moon phase, the refresh rate of evil life wasn't high. One had to wait for the accumulation of black tide energy in the corpses before they could transform into cursed soldiers. Recently, under the frenzied hunting of the players, the refresh rate of the cursed soldiers had already begun to fall behind the efficiency of players' killings, causing contention at every refresh. Many players could only continue to delve deeper towards the direction of the ancient battlefield, seeking targets further away for hunting. The transition from the waning moon to the waxing moon switched the tide of attack and defense between the players and the evil life. The overwhelming number of blood corpses trapped the player groups, launching fearlessly bloodthirsty attacks. Furthermore, the hunting level of the blood corpses refreshed during the waxing moon reached 8 to 15, their overall strength several times stronger than the 1 to 3 level cursed soldiers. With numbers plus level suppression, players were completely at a disadvantage in the fight against the enhanced evil life. In Shishang's mind, the number of online players was visibly plummeting, with a vast number of players being killed and forced out of the game. In the meantime, the regional chat channel was exploding. Turns out this is the moon phase transition mentioned in the newbie guidance that might occur. I thought each region had a fixed moon phase, with different large areas having different phases. And this is just the intensity of the waxing moon. It's terrifying. Blood corpses are just too fierce, so much HP and high defense. It took our squad half a day to kill one, and then a group nearby encircled us. Now, all my teammates are dead, and I've given up resisting and am waiting for death. Help! I'm surrounded. I don't want to enter the 1-hour resurrection cooldown, Storm cry. The moon phase transition is terrifying. The difficulty of the monsters increased several times over. If it's during the full moon or the evil moon phases, wouldn't the level of evil life break 100? The twisted plants in the blood color plane have a prevalent hunting level of 12+. I'm absolutely done for. It's hard to even run, just waiting for death. Always tough talking, complaining about too few monsters to fight during the regular refreshes. Well, there's plenty now, and if still not enough, just wait for the waxing moon, doghead. After the transition of the moon phase, except for the players in the dark cave who were safe and sound, all other players were attacked by enhanced evil spirits. The reason is related to the special nature of the black tide, whereby non-evil spirit entities do not change with the moon phase. The iron shell bugs inside the dark cave did not disappear or turn into more powerful monsters. But those outside weren't so lucky. In a short period, the number of online players plummeted from over 9,800 to less than 1,000. Qisheng was already mentally prepared for this. The different moon phases of the horror black tide can be understood as 5 different layered spaces. When the waning moon transitions to the waxing moon, the waning moon space is replaced by the waxing moon space, and everything related to the black tide in the scene also switches over. For instance, the cursed soldiers on the ancient battlefield do not completely vanish. They will reappear when the moon phase transitions back to the waning moon. For the players at the current stage, the scene of the waxing moon is obviously too intense to handle. But he had no solution to the problem. The changes in moon phase are influenced by the tides of the horror black tide, and it is completely unknown when it will switch back to the waning moon. It is certain that the Emperor Tomb mountain range is not the core area of black tide energy corrosion, and it is highly unlikely for stronger moon phases to refresh here. In his 500 years in Monster World, Qisheng had only seen a full moon in the 4th stage once in the Emperor Tomb mountain range. The full moon scene could be described as a dance of myriad demons. Abyss demons, void corrosive insects, touch of fear. One glance would reveal a vast number of super evil eyes with hunting levels over 100. Evil spirits, blocking out the sky like locusts, would ravage the Emperor Tomb mountain range, leaving few lives to survive in their wake. As for the evil moon, considered the final form of the horror black tide, only the four great servants at their peak had ever experienced it, and he had never witnessed it with his own eyes. Master, the switch in moon phase might not necessarily be a bad thing. Turning his head to look at the guiding water ball hovering beside him, Qi Sheng nodded with a smile. Indeed, he naturally understood the guidance's thoughts. Compared to the waning moon scene, the waxing moon scene not only increased in intensity, but the energy between heaven and earth also became more abundant. The waxing moon scene nurtured a large number of black tide spirit plants, including many that merged in a monster world after the black tide assimilated other worlds, and produced black tide spirit items under the refinement of the eroding black tide energy, all of which could be purified into pure sacrificial power by burning at the altar. With high risk, players exploring outside could also gain more surprising rewards. The sudden switches in moon phase, although forcing a large number of players to go offline, assured Qi Sheng that players could quickly adapt to the intensity of the waxing moon and continue to create more sacrificial power benefits for him. When the wave of players that went offline come back online after leaving Newbie Village, they will surely find a way to deal with it. If your strength is not enough, then form groups to act. The difficulty of hunting has increased, but the rewards for killing a blood corpse are several times more than for killing a cursed soldier. Judging from various dimensions, such as hunting efficiency, hunting difficulty, and the probability of opportunities, the conclusion from Guidance's calculations was that the comprehensive benefit rate of the waxing moon was 1.3 times higher than that of the waning moon. And this value is only temporary. As players grow in strength, the comprehensive benefit rate brought by the waxing moon will continue to climb. Thump! As the lid of the gaming pod slowly opened, the nutrient fluid that enveloped his body drained away through holes around him, and Qin Yi, exiting the virtual interface, punched the nearby controller in frustration. What kind of crap game has an hour-long cooldown? Thinking about how he was about to kill the level 10 Angry Burst Bug when a suddenly refreshed group of blood corpses beat him to death, Qin Yi couldn't help but curse again. He stood up from the gaming pod and walked over to sit on the sofa, opening his bank account to make transfers. There were 3 transactions in total. Each was to the captains of the 3 squads who had assisted him with last hits. If he wanted to continue to receive last hits in the future, integrity was very important. He didn't want to cut off this path for himself. Cursing aside, after experiencing it firsthand, he had completely fallen for this game. Its super high degree of freedom, 100% realistic scene modeling and physical feedback, as well as an infinitely large exploration map. The most addictive aspect for him was the unlimitedly expandable ability combinations and the feedback from upgraded attributes. Leaping several meters high and shattering rocks with a punch, these aspects of physical fitness were joys he could never experience in reality. However, thinking about the game's biggest downside, the resurrection cooldown after dying, he couldn't help but swear inwardly. To him, this feature seemed purely to be a hunger marketing strategy by the Moon Eclipse clan, completely unnecessary and just adding frustration to players' minds. After completing the transfers, he went into the bathroom to clean up, changed into a new set of clothes, and then stepped out the door. What lay before him was the magnificent and spectacular underground space, with a multitude of energy torches burning on the rock walls above, illuminating the underground world. He could see various forms of intelligent beings moving around here. Green-skinned steel-bone orcs, abyss fishmen with gill patterns on their faces, Yao stone people made of rock. It was a chaotic mix. Aside from humans like himself, there were also a multitude of alien race lives. These alien race beings are lives that fled to Earth from other worlds. Their worlds had all been invaded by some mysterious power, causing the worlds to face the verge of collapse, with only a few of their people managing to flee through torn spaces to Earth. Among these fleeing forces, the Moon Eclipse clan were the strongest. According to the descriptions of the first group of the Moon Eclipse clan who came to Earth, as their world faced collapse, they opened 18 space-tearing portals leading to otherworldly worlds and escaped to different ones. One of these groups came to Earth. This group of Moon Eclipse members is the only alien race force that relocated to the moon after coming to Earth and established a new city there. The underground space that he was currently in is known as the Earth Cave Trading Market, located on the border of the Human Clan Federation territory. It's a place where the Human Federation and alien races exchange intelligence and material technology, managed by an alliance council formed by various clans. Similar trading centers exist on Earth, 11 in total. He was a Grade D administrator for the Human Clan Federation at the Earth Cave Trading Market, with one of his duties being to patrol Section D of the market and resolve conflicts between clans. Although they are all intelligent beings, the different living environments and cultures have led to varying habits, making this place a mix of creatures and often the site of conflicts and contradictions. Get out of the way, you're blocking the path. Just then, a force from behind pushed Qin Yi to one side. After stumbling a couple of steps and steadying himself, Qin Yi turned to look and saw the 3-meter-tall stone giant, not even glancing back as it walked past him towards the trading area. Damn it, watch who you're messing with. The stone giant, hearing this, turned around abruptly, staring at Qin Yi with its 2 large black gem-like eyes. Upon seeing the Grade D administrator mark on Qin Yi's chest, The ferocious expression on the stone giant's face instantly changed to one of amiability. "I'm truly sorry, Administrator Sir. Please don't take offense at my behavior." A humble apology came from the translator around the stone giant's neck. "If I catch you causing trouble again, you'll be blacklisted and barred from entering the Earth Cave trading market." Amid the stone giant's continuous apologies, Cheney headed toward the trading market to commence his patrol duties for the day. The entire trading market was like a complex maze divided into 8 trade zones, and he was responsible for Sector D. Earth Spirit Stones from the magic ancient world, perfect for any charging required devices. With extra long battery life, one of these is better than 6 regular stones. Speedy Grass, a specialty product from the Earth Abyss world, can grow even in contaminated soil, maturing every 68 days. Buy it and never worry about food and drink again. Spirit Breaking Shield, produced by the Mystic Cave world, this is the last one. Carry it with you to ward off unexpected attacks, an automatic defense item that could save your life in a critical moment. As he made his way, both sides of the path were lined with stalls where merchants of different races were selling their goods, with their voices hawking nonstop. Cheney stopped in front of one of the stalls. The stall owner was a green-skinned dwarf, wearing an iron helmet with flashing lights on top. His height barely reached Cheney's chest, and he was adorned with many items carved with green runes. "Lao Hey, haven't been causing any trouble recently, have you?" "How could that be? We from the Green Elf clan are peace-loving," came the shrill voice from the translator around the green-skinned dwarf's neck. Hearing this, Cheney couldn't help but roll his eyes. Though the Green Elf clan appeared weak, they were extremely belligerent. They were one of the alien race forces in his trade sector that gave him the most headaches. At this moment, he squatted down and carefully examined a glowing green stone on the stall. "What is this? I haven't seen it on your stall before." In response to the question, the green-skinned dwarf promptly pointed to the green gem and expounded. "This represents one of the pinnacle core technologies of our race, which we call a spiritual bomb. It's made by altering the internal structure of an energy stone. Its power is enormous. We wouldn't sell it if we weren't running out of options." Hearing this, Cheney was suddenly startled. "This thing isn't dangerous, is it?" "Of course not. We naturally obey the rules of the trading market. We absolutely won't bring hazardous items into the market. This spiritual bomb is made from the lowest level spirit stones, and it won't explode naturally. You need to leave a mark of consciousness on it first. It will only explode when triggered by consciousness, causing the internal structure to destroy and detonate." After hearing the explanation, Cheney breathed a sigh of relief. "How much for this?" 100 Earth Coins. The 100 Earth Coins mentioned by the green-skinned dwarf weren't the common currency used within the Human Clan Federation. The origin of Earth Coins dates back over 200 years, a new currency jointly established by forces like the Moon Eclipse Clan, Human Clan Federation, and the Great Barbarian Tribe. It has also become the common currency among all races on Earth, allowing purchases of necessary resources and technologies from various races. Meanwhile, the currency used internally by the Human Clan Federation is called credit coins, meant for internal use only. Is the technology transferable? Cheney asked the key question. Before taking up the post of a D-level administrator, he had worked at the Federation Technology Institute as an alien technology analyst. Being dispatched to the Earth Cave trading market by the Human Federation, his responsibilities included not only maintaining stable operation in the trading zone, but also seeking out important technologies for the Human Federation. "As long as you pay, technology isn't a problem. I need to test the power first before I consider purchasing. Here's 100 Earth Coins." As he finished speaking, Cheney pulled out a silver card from his pocket. The digital screen on the front of the card featured an input box for numbers. Cheney entered the number 100 and swiped the card over the machine at the green-skinned dwarf stall. Beep. Accompanied by a crisp electronic sound, a payment completion prompt popped up on the machine.